So before we even dive all the way into this video, I want to preface it with this. Whenever I started to do my research and studying and everything for this video, I went into it thinking I was going to be doing a video about how cults can affect us on a psychological level. Well, the more I read and learned and all that, I started to realize that the same exact tactics that cults use on us are the same exact tactics that are used in many different areas of life. I mean, some of which I didn't expect to see. It can go down to the workplace. I mean, this video could have been about a million different things. But the reason I landed on this topic is because I have personally been on the receiving end of every single thing we're about to go over. And I thought, it started bringing up these feelings, these old feelings and emotions and stuff for me. And I thought, well, if there's people out there that have been through this or are going through it, and best case scenario, I could even prevent people from getting into situations like this, then I think I should do that. So this video is probably going to be a little more personal. I don't necessarily want this channel to be like a personal channel where I get on here and kind of just spill my life story and then, like use you as therapy or something. I mean, if people wonder stuff, I'll let them know. I don't mind within reason, but you know what I mean. But if my personal experiences can help people in these kind of situations, then 100% I think I should do that. So just keep that in mind, and keep in mind, like I said, this can go into many different areas of life, but right now we're going to focus specifically on the relationship side of it. So without further ado, let's do this. Alright, so I wrote a lot of these down, did a lot of notes for this, but it made the video really, really long. So I'm just going to go over 3 of them and then maybe skim over the rest as we go or something, but for now, let's just focus in on these. The first one you may have heard of. It's called love bombing. At the beginning, the person overwhelms you with attention, affection, compliments, gifts, or promises of a perfect future. Now, the effect this can have on us psychologically, you become emotionally attached very quickly. Your brain starts associating that person with intense reward, and later you keep chasing the feeling that you had at the beginning. The next one is foot in the door. Control usually doesn't start with huge demands. It starts with small ones, like text me when you get home, don't hang out with the person, share your location, why don't we spend all of our time together? And keep in mind, each request can seem reasonable on its own. And then last one is definitely not least though, intermittent reinforcement. This is one of the strongest psychological hooks. The affection becomes unpredictable. They're loving one day, cold the next, then loving again. Your brain starts chasing the good moments because they're unpredictable. This pattern is especially powerful because our brains often work harder for rewards that come inconsistently than for rewards we get every time. So now that that's out of the way, I'm just going to tell you a quick little story about how I ended up where I was at, and then we'll get, and explain my side a little bit, and then we'll get into the rest of the psychological part of this. So for me, at the age of 15, I met this girl. This is not the girl that did these things to me, but just my story. I met her 15 years old. We were together for over a decade. We ended up getting married. We had a son together. Eventually that relationship did end after a little over a decade, but the reasons had nothing to do with any of these, okay? Like, this woman was not a kind of manipulative, kind of person. So when we split up, and then later on I got with the next woman who did do these things to me, which is my daughter's mother, I did not expect it. I didn't see it coming. I did not know these tactics. I was not familiar with them because I had been with her, the other woman, my whole life, So the love bombing worked. And I do remember thinking, like, man, I really fell for her awfully quick. That's not really like in my nature, so I took note of that, but I kind of chalked it up to the fact that I knew this girl when I was a little kid, and she was kind of always the one that got away in my mind and all this, so it kind of just turned into excuses in that regard. And then with the foot in the door, where it was like, it doesn't start with a demand. They lead you in steps, it'll go like, for me, it was like, I wish you wouldn't call home so much. It's always, every time you get off work, you just want to spend all the time on the phone with your family and, all of this, and you don't ever make any time for me. But I missed my family, I was born and raised in Missouri. I had left Missouri and moved all the way up to West Virginia for her. So I already kind of gave her my isolation, but even then she was still trying to use isolation and do the foot in the door. So that was kind of one of the rules. So I started having to figure out, how do I keep in touch with my family but not upset this woman, and make time for her too in her mind. So it just was in steps over time. And, then my daughter was born. And by the time I figured out that this was all nuts, another excuse I got to use was, she had bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder and all these things and many more things going on that level. So I kind of just chalked up all of the nonsense to, well, she has mental issues and I'm going to love her through those mental issues. And, I have OCD, I have these problems, blah, blah, blah. So I just kind of tried to empathize and was like, I'm just going to try to love her through it. To a fault, though. So I ended up just excusing everything, essentially, like she would lie to me about things. She would get physically violent. She would, she was just a menace. And the longer we were together, the worse it got. So this is the thing. With the intermittent reinforcement, this got me hook, line, and sinker, okay? Yes, one day, totally loving, oh my God, you're the best, blah, 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 blah. And then the next, very cold. And I'm like, what the heck? What did I do? And then loving again. And this is actually the same part of the brain that makes gambling so addicting. And it's because of what it says. It makes us chase the rewards we get inconsistently more so than if we're getting it all the time. So if you're getting love all the time, you're not gonna desire it as much as if you're just getting it slow dripped into you. You're gonna chase it harder, and just like gambling in the way you'll overlook the bad, like the losses in a gambling, for that next good feeling, that hit of dopamine or whatever. That you get wrapped up in it, and it can become like an addictive behavior towards your partner's affection, and you want it so bad. So it got me, I just was like, there was, during the good times I would ask her, why can't we always be like this? I didn't understand it all back then. And looking back now, it blows me away that all this stuff worked on me, and have so much more compassion for people who have got swept up into cults, because the same exact tactics were used on me in this way, and it worked. Now, this is another thing, is one of our deepest rooted psychological cravings is to feel loved and accepted and at home. So even getting in a relationship to begin with and having someone make you feel good at all is already starting to tap into that. So you have to be very careful and stay vigilant for these things, because they can get out of hand and spiral pretty quick. So I started to think to myself, I wonder what I would have needed to have heard in this situation that I could say on this video for anybody going through it. Because I used to look back, before I got in that toxic relationship, at people that I knew in my life who were in them and think, you must just love drama, or you must just love fighting, but there was, now I understand there's some deep stuff going on there. And I think I don't know what I would have needed to have heard, honestly. I'm a very hard-headed kind of person in some ways, but I'm going to give it a shot. I think if you're in this situation, then you need to hear this. You're not stupid for falling for it. It doesn't make you dumb. It makes you human. Okay? It makes you human, and it means this person has taken your humanity, the deepest parts of your humanity in a psychological way, and exploited it for themselves to get what they want out of it, whatever it may be. So don't let something it's called cognitive dissonance. It's when we put so much of ourselves into something, we put so much of our time and effort and money into something that we don't want to see it fail, especially if you've been sticking up for this person and you within your family and friends or whatever, and you're like, no, you're wrong about them, then you don't want to let it go. And that's cognitive dissonance. It's like, I want to be right. I use this example in my short, in one of my shorts, there was a cult called the Doomsday Cult, and they were convinced that on this specific date, the whole world was going to come to an end. Well, when that date came and the world did not come to an end, not only did a lot of the members not leave and call bullcrap on it, but it made them double down and become more devoted to the cult. And it's because psychologically we don't want it to be wrong. We've put all this time and effort into this. We want it to work. So there comes a point you have to try your hardest to look at it from a logical standpoint without, the hardest part is to fight ourselves. Like, fighting against ourselves is very hard. Fighting against our own, psychological makeup and stuff is really hard. But you have to try your hardest and think, do I want to be in this for the rest of my life? Am I happy? Is this going to make my life fulfilled? Is this going to make my life happy? And if the kids are involved, if you have kids involved, is this good for the kids to see? Is it good for the kids to be around? Or would it be better for me to leave? Because I had to come to grips with all of that when I got out of that relationship. I broke up with her after 8 years. I finally was like, I just can't see it happening. It's not going to be good for my kid if I stay and we just fight constantly and there's all these psychological games being played and stuff. So I had to, man, and it is hard to rip that Band-Aid. It's really hard to go against what our desires are and stuff, but I'm telling you, dude, ever since I did that, ever since I ended that relationship, yes, she still tries to make my life a living hell. She will punish my daughter on psychological abuse is what I call it. She'll punish her for even wanting to talk to me, for even missing me. She'll do things, like crazy. Like just the other day I called and her and her mom were sharing a blanket, and the second that she answered the phone to me and I said, "Hey, baby," and her mom heard my voice, her mom just ripped the blankets off of her real quick. Like, now they're my blankets, She does stuff like that just because my daughter wants to talk to me. She's a very evil person. So there is some stuff you're going to have to come to grips with and come to terms with. And don't let cognitive dissonance get in the way, Screw it. If you're wrong, you were wrong. You're not dumb for it, but now that you know about it, end it. Do not continue. No matter what, run. I tried couples counseling with this woman. I tried everything. She didn't change. She's not going to change. They won't change. And, a lot of times you can say, well, I want this to change. They'll say, okay, I promise I'll change. They change for like 2 weeks or something, and then boom, right back to the way they were. They're not going to change. So it's up to you now to get out of the situation. And there is so much peace after you get out of something like that. And this is about as personal as I'm going to get in closing. Is whenever I finally broke up with her, she decided to go after my reputation. She lied about me. She made false accusations against me. She ruined my reputation. I mean, seriously, because of friends of her, her family were friends with some of my distant family, and it spread all the way down to Missouri. So I couldn't even come home to Missouri without dealing with her lies, you know? Like, I couldn't even get away from it. It was just like, and it made me so depressed, and the stuff she was saying and stuff, it all got to me. It made me not even want to live anymore. It made me want to check out, and I tried to, you know? And I've had to go into therapy and rewire my brain back to what is me. You know, I wouldn't say normal because I don't think I'm that normal, but, normal me at least, and relearn how to be myself and relearn who I am because she changed me that much. So don't let it get to that point. And if it does, do what I did. Get into therapy. Figure out who you are now. Don't let, identity fusion where identity fusion is where it turns from I'm a person in a relationship to I don't even know who I am without this relationship. So don't do it. That's the best advice I can give you is don't walk, run. Okay? I hope this video helps somebody out there. I was passionate about this one because it struck home, and it's something that I deal with still, and I have to deal with this woman because we have a kid together. So I still have to deal with games and lies and drama and all of that because of the kid, our daughter being involved. But I just want to help. So please, man, if you are in this situation, hear what I'm saying. I'm speaking from experience here, and I have a better understanding now. I hope you do too. And if you need to reach out and talk to somebody, reach out and talk to somebody. Leave a comment on here, find me on my socials, do something, send me a message. I will respond. I am there for you. If nobody else is, I've been there. I know it. It got so dark and bleak for me. You would not even understand over my mind being completely screwed by this woman. So I hope it helped. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Real quick before you go, one of my subscribers left me a song on in the comment section. I checked it out. I absolutely love it. I actually do. I do music as well, so I'm a huge fan of all music. I love listening to it and creating it. I'll link my music channel actually in the description as well, so you guys can check that out if you want. But yeah, thank you so much. Leave a like for me. I'm a small channel. It would help to boost in the algorithm and the comment too. And let's talk about stuff. Psychology is fascinating. It's awesome, and So the next one, I don't know what the next one will be. It may be. I was thinking about kind of going into how my OCD is and stuff, so that may be a little personal, but also I still will probably do the video about cults because I learned so much in that, and it is very interesting. But all right, I love you guys. See you on the next one. Peace.